Hey, hi, how you going? It's me, Valstride, and I've been absolutely loving the Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era demo so far. I've spent about 40 hours in the game and enjoyed every moment of it, but there are a few things that I wish the game made a little bit more obvious, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, because we're going to be covering everything that I wish I knew earlier. Let's check it out. So you're addicted to the dust, hey? Well, don't worry, because just like in real life, in Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era, you can cash in all your family heirlooms and all of your valuables to get your next fix. So if you want to trade in any unused artifacts, all you got to do is come into your inventory, click on the artifact that you want to get rid of, and then you can come down to this little button next to the word upgrade. But no, this is not the upgrade button. That's the one all the way over here on the other side. So don't accidentally click this one trying to improve your artifacts. This is going to dismantle your artifacts and give you some dust in exchange. So this is going to be really helpful. It's going to allow you to visit those alchemy stations a little bit less that are throughout the map, though you're still going to have to do some amount of that. This is just going to be a little extra boost on top that's going to help you upgrade all of your artifacts, upgrade all of your spells, and get those higher tier units. Now, this one did fly under the radar for me for quite some time. I played a few games without even realizing this was doable, and it is really nice because you do end up with some excess artifacts over time that you're not really using anyway, so it's a good way to just get some function out of them. But tip number 2, we're going to talk about a few UI options that you can toggle on and off depending on your preferences. Now, you might not want to use all of these, but it's good to at least know that they exist in case they're going to help you throughout the game. So the first is going to be the C key binding, which is going to turn this grid on and off. Now, each of these spaces on the grid is going to represent a certain amount of movement that you can go to. So if I've got it on, you can see I can't move to the middle of a grid spot. I can only move to anywhere that is actually on the grid. And in addition to that, if you hold down the Alt key, all of the interactable objects around the world are going to glow for you so you can see what you can actually interact with. But more important than that, at least in my opinion, is that you can see how many movement points any given move is going to cost you. So this one is going to cost me 35 movement points, and after that 35, I'm going to have 125 remaining. So if I want to go over here, it's going to cost me 74 and I'll have 86 remaining. So this is obviously really handy for planning out your turns, and especially if you're playing on the harder difficulty, it's going to be really important for just getting the most efficiency out of any given turn. Now, in addition to that, we've got 2 others. You can press the X key to see the area around a neutral unit on the map, so you know whether or not you're going to have to interact or fight that unit in order to get all of the other objects within that space. So I know if I wanted to get this little scroll, I have to fight this guy. Now, it's usually pretty intuitive anyway, but just in case, there are sometimes objects that might sit, say, just on this tile here, but I'm not going to have to fight this guy to get that unit. You can kind of just sneak in and grab it. And then the last one is just for zone control. So this is going to be the Z key, which is going to allow you to see the zones on the map, which usually is indicated by the change in terrain anyway. But nonetheless, if you want it to be a little bit more explicit, the Z command is going to allow you to toggle that on and off. Do you ever find yourself struggling to remember who does or does not have their counterattack available? Well, don't worry anymore, because this little orange icon or this little glow above the unit's health bar indicates whether or not their counterattack is available. So in a battle like this, where you've only got one enemy unit, it's not really going to be too hard, but when things get a little messier, it can be sometimes hard to track everything manually, and this is just going to take any ambiguity out of it for you. If they've got the orange glow, they can still counterattack, otherwise you're good to go. At tip number 4, we've got a friendly reminder that walls give unit growth. That's right, it says it right there. Reading the card explains the card, and yet somehow many of us missed it, myself included, and I know a bunch of you out there have missed it as well because I've seen all of the Reddit comments, but you can get up to 100% unit growth by going for walls 3, so definitely make sure you prioritize that in your build order, and if you're struggling to keep up with the unit growth of your opponents, then this could be the reason why. So don't neglect these guys. Unit growth is obviously incredibly important. Next up, we're going to be talking about subclasses. So as your hero levels up, you're going to get access to a whole bunch of different skills. You can choose whichever you want, but if you choose a particular set of skills, you're going to get an additional bonus because your hero is going to get granted their subclass. So each hero, whether they are might or magic, is going to have access to 2 different special classes within their faction. So you can see here my magic Necropolis hero can get Soul Weaver or Chronomancer, and you can also see that I'm 2/5 of the way towards the Soul Weaver subclass. Now, if you want to know which skills you need to target for any given hero within a given faction, I'll leave a little graphic up on screen now, so feel free to pause the video, take a screenshot of this and tuck it away for later. But within the game, you're also going to be able to identify each of the skills by these little skull icons. So you can see next to Skull Weaver, we've got the gold icon, and next to Chronomancer, we've got the silver one. And then you're going to be able to see those same icons on the skill cards in the top right-hand corner. So you can see that Expert Insight contributes to my Soul Weaver subclass. Now you're also going to notice I've got 2 out of 5, despite having a few more of the relevant skills. And the reason for that is you do need to level the skill all the way up to Expert for it to contribute towards your subclass. So I've got Expert Insight and Expert Arcane Magic. And then I've also got Advanced Logistics and Advanced Sun Avatar, which don't yet contribute, but when I continue to level them up to Expert, they will. This next one's super easy once you know it, but the game doesn't really do a great job of explaining it in the first place, and that is that each faction has a native terrain. So for Temple, it's going to be the grasslands. For Schism, it's going to be the snow. For Dungeon, it's the gravel areas. And for Necropolis, it's the swamp. Now, whether or not you knew what those terrains were, you still might have seen some of the buffs throughout the game that make reference to it. So for example, under Triumvirate Strength, when you get it up to the advanced level, you've got access to underground passages, which is going to make it so that your dungeon creatures deal 10% extra damage and get 10% damage reduction while on native terrain. So you can obviously use this strategically to place your hero throughout the map and gain small advantages. Nearing the end now, and this next one is another easy one, but it is really annoying if you forget, and that is that the catapult does not auto-fire when you're in a siege battle. So don't forget to hit this little button, select your catapult, and then select the target for it, because I know in my first couple of sieges, I just kind of stood around flying my guys over the walls, but then being like, why am I not breaking any of them? And it turns out because this one's not like the older games where it auto-shoots, you have to manually do it. And while we're on the topic of sieges, this last tip is a reminder that long reach does actually work through walls. So this is especially handy if you're on the defending end. You can bring your long reach units all the way up to the wall, and while all of the enemy units are just kind of standing around outside, you can still hit them. But it also works the other way, so you can bring your long reach units all the way up to your wall and then attack enemies inside that way as well. So this is going to open up a lot more avenues of attack in sieges, which can otherwise get really congested. So remember to use that one as much as you can. But that's going to be it for today's list. Let me know in the comments down below if there are any that you think I missed and other players need to be aware of, or just let me know which of these tips helped you the most. And remember, if you guys enjoyed this and you want to keep seeing more content like it, like, comment, and subscribe. It all really helps support the channel a lot. But otherwise, thank you all for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Have a good one.